Why do anything if it's not inspired? Why make any move or create anything if it's not an inspired action? That's the question that this Ace of Pentacles is posing from the William Blake Tarot in the form of this poem, the Ace of Poetry. I come in self-annihilation to cast off the rotten rags of memory, by inspiration to cast aside from poetry all that is not inspiration. And what this poem is saying is, I've come after facing ego death, after facing some sort of ending, because the ace is a beginning, it's a newness. To cast off the rotten rags of memory, this is about somatics. This is about the body remembering and keeping the score. That's why it suggests the self-annihilation, the death in some form of the ego story. This is all that I've suffered. Because the rotten rags of memory will have us checking and scanning the field for scarcity, for fear, for ways that we need to keep ourselves safe, instead of looking for opportunity, ways in which we can thrive and excel. So to cast off those rotten rags of memory of the past, and doing so because it's an inspired action itself, and also to the purpose of to cast aside from poetry all that is not inspiration. So to cast aside from the physical, mundane, everyday experience of showing up and being, to get rid of everything that's not inspiration from that, which essentially says, sit idly until you're inspired to action, which makes so much sense. Because in noticing and witnessing our surroundings, we can be inspired. And when we're not sitting still and we're in our minds instead, we're coming up with reasons to take action. We're logically inducing ourselves into the patterns of continuing to act, instead of allowing ourselves to be acting only on the rhythm of, wow, I was inspired to act. Now, this is very hard to rectify in our society, I will grant you that, but this is an Ace of Pentacles, not a 10. It also suggests starting small. So are there 5 minutes in your day today, or even 1 minute, where you could ask yourself to sit still until you gain the inspiration to move? Because that's a gift that this Ace of Pentacles is suggesting you give yourself today.